Hi, I'm Mitch Gallagher. Welcome to Sweetwater's iOS update. This time out, I've got a keyboard controller for your iOS apps and an update to an app that we looked at earlier. Let's get started. The Launchkey family of keyboard controllers are USB controllers that are compatible with either computers or iOS devices. There are three models in the family. There's a 25-key version, a 49-key version, which is what I have here, and a 61-key version. They connect by USB to a computer. They're bus-powered when you use them with a computer. If you're using it with an iPad, you need the Apple Camera Connection Kit, and you do need a power supply to make it operate as well. It's not bus-powered. Now, when you're working with a computer, you have a full array of controls that are available to you. We have sliders, we have knobs, we have drum pads, we have transport controls, pitch mod wheels, we've got octave switching, we've got track controls, all sorts of things here. When you're working with an iPad or an iOS device, what you'll have available to you as far as the controllers go depends on the app that you're using. Novation has two free apps that are available. We've looked at Launchpad before, so I won't go into detail on that here, but the other one is Launchkey, and that's the one we're looking at on my iPad right now. Launchkey is a synthesizer app that has a unique user interface. You have the standard knobs that you might expect here, but there also are these controls up here as well. You can slide those around to make changes, and those are actually linked to the knobs here so that as you move one of these circles around, you're changing multiple parameters at the same time. So it's really a fun app to play with because you can do a lot of real-time modulation of the parameters. When we connect the Launchkey hardware to the app, we have control over even more parameters than are available here. Of course, we have the keys. We have pitch and modulation. Using the knobs, we have control over these visible parameters here. So as we turn the knobs, those respond in real time. Now, if we move the sliders, we have access to hidden parameters. So as we slide this, we're changing the amplitude envelope attack. So we have a So you can be controlling a variety of different parameters in real time as you're playing. The master fader is assigned to control master volume, so that's what we're adjusting as we move that. Now the drum pads are set up for a unique control application here. The top row of pads are actually set up to select among a favorite set of presets. So we hit the first patch, it goes to our toy piano. Hit the second pad, it goes to an organ sound. Third pad, arpeggiated synth sound, and so on. Now the lower row of drum pads are doing something different. They're controlling the position of this control point here on the screen. The control point is actually modulating all these parameters at the same time. So as we go across this row of drum pads, we'll be changing its position and thus modulating all those parameters within the app simultaneously. So if I hit the first drum pad on the lower row, it jumps over here. Hit the second one, it jumps up to the upper right. Third one, lower right. We can jump all the way to the lower left. So you have a lot of control and a very interactive user interface between the screen and what you have available on the hardware controller. Now something else that's interesting about the Launchkey controller is you can set it up to control both the Launchkey app and the Launchpad app simultaneously. And you do that using these two arrows that are on the front panel. The arrows decide what the faders and what the pads are controlling. So when the lights are off on those arrows, we're controlling parameters inside the Launchkey app. But if we hit the top arrow, the one that's facing left, the sliders are now assigned to control volume within the Launchpad app. If I hit the right-facing arrow, the pads are now controlling the loop pads inside the Launchpad app. And we can switch between those apps using the track button here. So if I hit that, we'll switch over to Launchpad. We can trigger that from our pads here. But I've still got control over the synthesizer sounds that are playing in Launchkey. Now my faders are controlling the volume on my loops. I can switch back over to Launchkey, and I can tell the pads to select a different preset. Switch back over, stop my loop. So being able to operate both those apps simultaneously from one controller is really a cool feature. The Launchkey family of controllers are very reasonably priced considering the power that they offer you. You can control not only the free apps that come from Novation, but also GarageBand or any of your synth apps you're running on your iOS device. And then you can take the exact same controller, plug it into your computer, and use it to control your DAW and all your synthesizer plugins and apps that are running there. So you get a lot of value, you get a dual-purpose keyboard that works both with your computer and your iOS device. We've looked at the Metronome Plus app in the past. I like this Metronome a lot because it allows you to program different accents, different subdivisions, and different meters. It's very easy to operate very fast. The company recently updated this app, and they added 4 new modes of operation. Now those are paid updates, so you can add the modes at 99 cents each, or for $1.99 you can get all 4 modes as well as any future modes that they might release. So we've still got our standard mode where it operates as a metronome. We control the tempo down here. And again, using the pull-down screen, we can set up all of the accents and the subdivisions, choose the sound. The first of the new modes is pitch mode. In this mode, we still have our standard metronome, but we can also select a pitch that it will play back so that you can check your intonation as you're playing along with the metronome. Our second mode is practice mode. Now this is one of my favorites. In practice mode, the metronome loops. You set up a number of bars for the metronome to loop over here. You can do 1, 2, 3, whatever you want it to be. We'll put it back to 1. Each time it goes through that loop, it changes the tempo by the amount that you set here. So let's set this so that every time it goes through the loop, it changes by 10 beats per minute. We'll set it to 100 beats a minute at 1 loop. So every time we go through 4 beats, the tempo is going to go up by 10 beats per minute, increase that much. This is great if you're practicing scales or you're trying to work on a lick and you want to have the speed ratchet up without having to touch the metronome to do it. So we jump to 110. 120. Our third mode is setlist mode. This is really useful on stage. Basically what you do is set up a preset that includes all the parameters for the metronome and save it as a song, and you can step through those by simply clicking on it. So if you're on stage, you have your set put together, you want to have a click to play along with, or even just a click to get you started at the right tempo, a very useful app for doing that. So if we're on song 1 here and we play back, we're at 100 beats a minute on a quarter note click and 4/4 time. We go to song 2, go to 120 beats a minute, but we're at an 1/8 note division. Song 3, we're changing to a shaker sound, 16th notes, 68 beats per minute. So each of your songs can be set up with its own metronome settings, and you can very easily step through those live on stage. Our fourth mode is record mode, and this is very useful in the practice room because you can record what you're playing along with the metronome and then listen back later to check your accuracy. So if we set this up, we hit our record button, start the metronome. We can name that and save it. We can also send it to ourselves over here. We can email it, and we can listen back. Button, start the metronome. And then when you're finished, you can delete that if you like. So a very useful update to Metronome Plus. I highly recommend adding these modes if you're using this metronome. Thanks for joining me for this installment of Sweetwater's iOS update. Be sure to tune in next time. We'll have more hardware accessories, we'll have more apps, and more tech tips on making music with your iOS devices. I'm Mitch Gallagher.